Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Got a lot to talk about here. And of course, before we get in there, we do have an email. So that's unversedpodcast@gmail.com if you want to send any questions or comments. And today we get an email from our boy here, Serge, aka Toby Maguire fan 53. Great guy.
Oh shit.
Good meme page over on Instagram. Great quality edits over there. He asks, are there any certain movie or TV show IPs that you want to see games for? Personally, he wants some more X-Men games, and Wolverine Origins was his shit back in the day. And yeah, Wolverine Origins on PS3 was pretty good. But yeah, I do remember one specific one where I think it was Daredevil. It was going to get a game at some point, but they ended up scrapping it, which kind of sucks because I think that'd probably be a good game.
Dude, you already know what I'm thinking, man. Air Gear. Give us an Air Gear game, please. Like, especially now, I think it could do really well. And that would just be fun. Like, they could probably do it like, I don't want to say like Skate, because Skate kind of went to crap after a while. But like kind of like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, you know? Except obviously the maps are a little bit more obnoxious and they kind of go all over the place. Dude, Lovecraft Country.
Oh yeah, good survival horror.
That would be pretty fresh. I think that would be a pretty good time, actually. Those are the ones, or we talked about this a while ago. Dude, they could make another Sailor Moon video game. I feel like it's been way overdue.
Yeah, really crazy, man, that there hasn't been one in a long time.
See, and it makes me think even more like with Crystal, when it was released, that should have been another point where they're like, hey, we could do another game, right? I mean, how many Naruto games do we have? How many Bleach games do we have? It blows my mind.
Yeah, for me, my rule of thumb is pretty much almost any shonen manga I read deserves a game because you could do so much with those, as long as they're unique. There was some new stuff that I'll touch into later. But of course, me, always got to get my Ben 10 stuff coming in. Could always use more games like that that aren't towards kids, I think, because the last two, they're cool, but they're for kids.
God, dude, yeah. I think I was gonna cop one of them, the one with like the big clown on the cover. I keep seeing it go on sale, and I keep thinking about grabbing it.
Yeah, I have that one. It's a simple beat 'em up. It does some decent things, but there's like no real depth in there, and it's all right for the most part. It did take a long time for me to get the plat for, though. I was a little upset about that, but that's fine. Of course, I think my boy Danny Phantom, he could use one. I think that'd be a cool way to bring him back with a video game with Ghost and all that. You could probably do a lot. If there was, it was probably one of those desktop games that you play on your browser.
Did you play that Halloween one way back in the day? Where like
With the Kids Next Door one?
no. So it was like a mashup of every single Cartoon Network character, and you get to choose whoever you want, and you essentially go on like a trick-or-treating thing with like all these other characters.
Oh, yeah, I think I did.
And it was like in partnership for like a charity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
UNICEF.
Yeah, there you
That's,
go.
yep, Trick or Treat for UNICEF. I remember that. Oh, no, yeah, I did play this. Yeah. Yeah, that was the era where I played that Ben 10 game on your browser forever, dude.
Oh, dude, you know what? Now that we're talking about browser games, this would be a great one to turn into a video game. Give me an Inuyasha game because the browser one that was there on Adult Swim was it was a fighters. I don't know if you played it, but it had like the roster was a pretty good size. But just like if we could get, I don't want to say a Muso kind of game, but I feel like that would work. Maybe like Monster Hunter-esque,
Mm.
without like all the capturing aspect. I think that would do really well for Inuyasha.
Yeah, because I know there's two PS2 games. I know one's a fighter, and then Grand Miguel, they went to like one of these thrift game shops and they found the PS1 fighter for Inuyasha, and I played a little bit of that. That's a weird fighting game.
Dude, how rough was it?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It feels dated, and you have to go to the menu to look up the inputs for your supers,
Hmm.
and then you use the L1 and R1 for your dash. Yeah, like a specific dash button. But yeah, I mean other stuff. I was thinking about this. It'd be cool to see a Flash game, right, from DC, but have it be, an action game with some puzzles that are in there, and utilize his super speed and being able to slow down time with the Speed Force and be able to try to solve puzzles that way. I think that'd be a pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to what he said. More X-Men games. I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
think you played the Wolverine Legends, or was it Legends, where it's him in the X2 outfit, or was it Origins? I
Uh,
can't remember.
that's the X-Men Legends, I think is what it's called.
Yeah,
It's on
I think that's the
PS2,
one.
right?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking about, where you're just Wolverine the whole time. That one was really good. I think we deserve another one like that. I mean, just some more X-Men representation, really, because the X-Men games that did come out were a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think now that Disney has full control of this and Marvel doesn't have to really shy away from the Fox franchise stuff that was there, we should get back into the gaming side of things.
I hope so, man. I mean, they put Wolverine in Infinite, right? But like as like a DLC?
No, no, there's no X-Men
No.
characters in Infinite. Yeah.
No, I'm thinking of Black Panther. That was the
Yeah,
only
Black.
one
Yeah,
in there.
no. What you're thinking of is what they said about Black Panther, because it's like, well, he has the mechanics of Wolverine, and that's all people care
Yeah,
for is the mechanics. And it's like, buddy, no.
it's like that's not what we wanted. We wanted our boy.
Like Black Panther is cool, but we want to see Logan. We don't want you to say like he's the replacement.
Right, exactly. Oh, dude, a Logan game just based off the movie.
Give it like the narrative treatment Sony does, and just kind of have it play over the shoulder and have sort of like the same pace of combat as the recent God of War game. I think that would be
Yeah,
good.
yeah, dude, I think that would work out fucking phenomenally. Santa Monica Studios, you're listening. Come on.
But yeah, that's all I could think of at the moment. Yeah, just mainly for me, it's definitely shonen series and mangas. Like they need games. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, but the Yakuza team, Ryuga Gokuto Studios, they have to do a Gintama game. I think they're the perfect place to do it. Not only is it set in the same city as the Yakuza games, but it's the same elements, all the seriousness, all the wackiness, intense moments, great boss fights. They could totally do it.
I do, they could. And you know what? They could also do a JoJo game.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Like a part 5 game or a part 4.
Yeah. Then maybe like a DLC of Stone Ocean.
Nah, man, you gotta do part 4, and then the DLC for that game is you bring in little Jolene, like all
Oh,
those fan
dude.
shit that pops up with her, like that stuff is so wholesome.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see something like that. I know I saw Eyes of Heaven was on sale, and I was like, I just want All Star Battle 2. Like, can we get that?
Yeah, dude. Well, I don't know if you ever. No, you probably didn't. I don't know if you played it over here at all, but I did cop Eyes of Heaven right when it came out. I feel like if it had local multiplayer, it would have done a
Mm-hmm.
lot better because the online was pretty ass. Even though when I was playing it was at the time, obviously a lot of other people were. But it just, I feel like the idea was right, but the execution was pretty poor.
Yeah, I remember I was playing the demo for it, and I thought like, yeah, this is fine, but then getting more into it, I was like, oh, this is just another anime game for the most part. And that was what was disappointing for me. And I was like, all right, I mean, it's cool to see some more characters in there, like Joshu and all them from part 8. The fact that it has like the anime game element in there, that's always put me off. I mean, we'll talk about it coming up, but yeah, it is what it is. I think Bandai just they know the formula, and they know they'll make money off of it, so they'll just keep doing it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get the rare instances like Fighters, how like that's not a 3D anime fighting game. Like they actually wanted to do something good with that,
Yep,
and the results
exactly.
show like that's a great anime game. So thanks for the email. Again, that's unversepodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments. And yeah, we got some news here. This I just saw this morning. It was from I think 2 weeks ago, and I guess this really shows how much I don't care about Last of Us Part 2, because I looked and I'm like, when did this get announced? And I heard nobody talked about it, and it's just this teaser trailer called Last of Us Homecoming. And the funniest part for this was I saw the top comment on the trailer, and it just said, "I can't wait for Last of Us Far From Home."
Oh,
And I was like, oh, that was a good chuckle.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, and I was like, what is this? And it doesn't really explain anything. And then it says April 10th, 2021. I'm like, okay, so this is. At first, I was thinking, like, is this the multiplayer? Did they announce this? And then read the description on the video. And it's like, oh no, this is a DLC for Last of Us Part 2. And it is the prequel about Joel before he met Ellie.
Mm.
So we kind of get to see what his life like was before he was, I guess, I'm going to guess this is when he meets Tess and, settles in this town that they're at. We're probably going to see some stuff with him and Tommy and Joel doing some things he, wish he didn't later down the line in life.
Right, right.
Yeah. So if it's a standalone DLC, I will pick it up. But if it's not, well, I'm just going to wait till part 2 is like $2 or something. Because I don't want to buy that game.
Yeah, I'm still pushing off on it.
Yeah, like if it goes down to like $10, which will probably won't happen until like the end of the year, I'll be for it. But until then, I'll just wait. I'll listen to some feedback on this and then go from there. But speaking of Last of Us, we got some casting news. And at first, the first casting was Bella Ramsey is going to be playing Ellie. And for those of you who don't know who that is, she was in Game of Thrones, and she was the daughter that ended up taking over this area in the north.
She was the Mormon girl, right?
Yeah, like I don't know if you remember, like it's when Jon Snow was back in the north, and they were getting ready to defend that area from Joffrey's army and all that. And she was part of the round table of all the lords in the area. Mm-hmm. And she was one of the ones that were like, yeah, Jon Snow should be king of the north. It's that girl.
Yep. I remember her.
Yeah, so she's going to be Ellie, and I mean, that's the only thing I've seen her in, and it's not like she had a dynamic range for that character, so we'll just wait and see how she is going to be there. I'm like, it is whatever for me. But the other casting that we got was immediately after the firing of his co-star on Star Wars. Pedro Pascal is going to be Joel.
I'm excited for that. I think that's the right move to make for sure.
Yeah, he definitely has the acting chops to play off the character. Yeah, it wasn't anybody I was expecting to play Joel, but yeah, I'm glad it's somebody I know that can do the job well.
Honestly, I really would have liked Macy Williams, the girl who was Arya for Ellie. I think that would have been better.
Yeah, she has that punk attitude.
I mean, I haven't really seen the other girl in anything else, so we can only hope. But
yeah,
man, she got that big old forehead, man. So I guess that works out.
Yeah, and for Joel personally, a lot of people wanted him to was from Game of Thrones as well. Was Nikolaj Coster, who played Jaime Lannister.
Dude, he could do it. He could do it too. I can see that.
Yeah, I think he could have been good for that role. But that's cool. So we got our main leads here. And speaking of video game movies and all of that stuff, we got more news for the Borderlands film. We got casting announcements. Jamie Lee Curtis and Jack Black are going to be in the movie.
Dude, it pulled me in. Right when I saw Jamie Lee Curtis, I'm like, okay, you're doing a good job. That's a strong move.
And she's a gamer, so she knows what's up.
Yeah, she knows her source material.
The other notable members was Kevin Hart.
I think right. He is in there.
Yeah. So they're going for star power for this film, which I mean, it's a video game movie, so that's usually the approach when it comes to this stuff. So, and then this popped up on my feed. Nobody really talked about it. It wasn't advertised at all. But over in Canada, they have a streaming service called Crave, and I believe it was sometime this week, past few days. They dropped this animated short for Ratchet and Clank called Ratchet and Clank Life of Pi. And You can find it on YouTube, but on the video that I found, it said that it was episode one for a series, but other people are saying it's sort of like a one and done thing. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Like, yeah, they didn't say anything about it. This was made in 2019, and I guess Sony was just kind of holding on to it, trying to figure out what to do. It looks good. It looks like the same people that worked on possibly the movie that came out back in, gosh, what was that, 2016? And the voice cast from the game is in there too.
Oh, that's good.
It's not that long. It's under half an hour, and it's just them trying to get pizza. From what I saw like the first like few minutes. Yeah. So when this came out was around the time that they announced the release date for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which is going to be in June. And then Sony came out with a statement saying like, I know this came out, but this has no relation to Rift Apart at all. Like, there's no tie-ins or anything.
That was my next question. Does it have anything that's gonna coincide with the game?
Okay, so some people are saying this is okay. They call it an episode, but there's only one, and other people are saying like this is the pilot for a show. So hopefully, if it gets picked up, they would keep doing more. From what it just sounds like, it's just them going to be doing random adventures each episode. Yeah, and just like the little bits I saw, the animation did look a little stiff when Ratchet was talking and moving around trying to be animated, and that could just be the budget thing in there, you know. But that's cool. That's cool. That's out. And the first thing I thought of was, damn, we really are getting this before we're getting anything with the Sly Cooper show. That sucks.
Oh, dude, that's right. I totally forgot that we were gonna get that.
Yeah, originally it was going to be a CG movie that was supposed to come out like 5 years ago now, and then instead got changed into a 26 episode animated series, but we have nothing yet. Like I said, Rift Apart, that's coming out June 11th, coming real soon, and I want to get into the series. The only games I really played was the free one for Plus on PS3, which was the multiplayer game, and then the game that came out for the movie on PS4. Those are the ones that I really played. But I was interested in the series, and it is crazy that this franchise is still going, right? Since the PS2 era, and now we're over here at PS5. We're still getting games for it.
I mean, it's definitely one of Sony's, babies for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy that Insomniac like still has stuff they want to do with these characters. I'm all for it. And so I think my plan is starting in March or probably around that time frame. I'm going to be going through the entire franchise. It's a lot of games. So I figured, yeah, earlier the better. And I'll be streaming those over at Negator 7. And speaking of franchises, man, there's only two franchises we like to talk about on this show. There's Yakuza, and then the other one that's in the news, Kingdom Hearts.
Dude, I was so excited to see this. It's coming out to PC. They're porting over every single game. Well, like the 1.5, 2.5, 0.8, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Melody of Memory, or how we like to call it, KH Mom. Yeah, dude, you know what's I think we talked about this the other day. What's crazy to me, and they definitely have the money to do this anyway, is that each of these games are sold separately and they're still full price. The only one that's like decently good at that price is going to be Kingdom Hearts 3 with the Remind DLC, and I'm like, that's fine. That's you're pretty much paying for like the game with free DLC, which is it's pretty good, especially since the DLC is pretty solid for that. But I mean, all the other ones, that's pretty crazy because you can get the all-in-one for like 25 to 30, like pretty much every like couple months.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. I was streaming and I only heard it was coming to PC, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then, people were telling me like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to spend this much to get the whole series. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? And it is baffling, and also it's an exclusive to the Epic Game Store. I think I heard for just a year, hopefully. But yeah, no, it trips me out that they're doing that because, like you just said, all in one, it goes on sale pretty regularly. And I can understand if it could just be the story so far bundle and then have three separate with the Remind DLC included. I think you could probably do it like that. And then Cage Mom, yeah, that's a new game, so I get it. That's full price, but yeah, it's one of those things I never understand. Like even over at Nintendo, when they start porting games over there, like from AAA franchises like The Witcher 3 and 2016 Doom, those were full price $60 games on the Switch. And I'm thinking like no offense to the Switch, but these are downgraded versions of those games. And they're multiple years old, and they're always on sale. The most they are at regular price is $20. Why are we charging 60 here? This is ridiculous.
It's a move I never understand, because you could make the game like a little bit cheaper, and people will buy it. Like, I mean, there's obviously going to be those people that are going to buy the game anyway, like probably me. Y- You know, like I don't need to buy it another time, but I probably will. But it's just a move that I don't really understand. Like, I don't know the numbers behind it, but fiscally, that looks like it's not going to get a lot of traction, right? Like besides the diehard fans and the modders. Because now that we've got, coming over to PC, we can get all these nice mods now. We can get all these crazy creations for it, which is really what I'm looking forward to. But the price, it's hard to justify, you know?
Yeah, because I always complain about Nintendo and the way they don't decrease their prices for games. And I look at I think the perfect example for something like this is God of War on PS4, right? That one game of the year sold a lot of units when it came out. By the end of the year of 2018, it was already down to $40, and then it wasn't long after that to where it went down to 20
Hmm.
because Sony understood like, okay, we already made the most amount of money we were going to make with the initial sales. Now we could just drop it in price and continue the sales, and then you could just drop it again even further. So like as far as the price drops for critically acclaimed games and big IPs they own, they understand what they're doing.
Exactly.
And maybe it's like an Epic Games thing, like they want to put it out full price, like maybe there's some contract stuff that we don't know about, but yeah, it just really sucks to see. I mean, the only benefit is you could just wait for it to go on sale. And what I know from following Wario on Twitter is that Epic Games likes to give out a lot of $10 coupons all the time. So that helps in that aspect. But yeah, it's just wild.
Like I said, I just want these mods. I mean, for it to come to PC finally, like Kingdom Hearts is now available on all platforms, right? I mean, it already was with the emulation, but to have like the actual game there, it's gonna be really nice for a lot of people to experience. Like, I'm sure there's still some people that didn't have like an Xbox or PlayStation to really play these games now that they have the chance to. Is really neat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only console we're missing is Switch, right? I mean, KH Mom's on there, but all the other ones aren't, which I think it'll happen in due time.
Yeah, I mean, and I've said this, since I've been playing KH Mom, like the Switch can definitely handle every single Kingdom Hearts game. Like it could definitely take three as well. It's probably going to be scaled down really poorly, but
Hmm.
it's strong enough for it because there's cutscenes in KH Mom where it's using the engine and it's like it looks fine. Like it's acceptable for it. It's not going to look as crisp as like some of the cutscenes are, but it can at least handle the base game.
But hey, man, while we're still talking about Kingdom Hearts, man, you are back on the grind.
Yeah, dude, I'm back on it. Definitely gonna be streaming every single day this week. Just trying to get through the entire series. I'm gonna be doing a proud critical mode run. I was attempting a zero EXP, but as I did some more research on it, this thing is like it doesn't even compare to like a Souls game in difficulty. It's insane. This is so hard. So I'm gonna get through the series first and then come back around and do just a strict zero EXP level one run. But yeah, that's over at twitch.tv/BamAdam.
Heck yeah. And I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but yeah, like as soon as you were starting the streams, I'm like, all right, it's time for me to hop back into the series. And yeah, I watching the beginning parts, hearing the music and all that, I was like, damn, I forgot how much I missed this stuff, man. Okay. We're So I re-downloaded it. I'm gonna be taking my time with it because I'm going through, of course, Yakuza.
Hmm.
and some other games right now. But I'm definitely gonna make an effort to go through these again. And yeah, Kingdom Hearts, and of course we like Yakuza over here. I haven't played much of Kiwami 2. Just did more of the cabaret stuff today. And yeah, it's just the cabaret stuff all over again. So I'm looking forward to all that.
Yeah, I'm still on my Kiwami 2 grind. I took a break for I think like 2 days, and gonna put in some more time before I hop into the Kingdom Hearts marathon again. But it's so much fun. It's literally it's like you said, it's the same as Zero. The dating stuff with the girls taking them out, that's a lot of fun. I like that dialogue. Definitely feels a lot better than it did in Zero, like as far as the conversations are going. But again, if you just talk like Kiryu or Majima, the girls are gonna swoon all over for you.
Heck yeah, that's what I learned. But I think last time we talked, you just started Kiwami 2, and now you said you were chapter 6,
Chapter 5, yeah.
chapter 5. Yeah.
So I'm liking it a lot so far. I think the way that this is going with the Tojo clan and the Omi alliance is really fun. I really want to see more of the foreigners, like how much more of a role are they going to play in the story?
Oh yeah.
Because right now it's just kind of talking about like some of the Koreans that are over here and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, with the game starting off with that scene too, I'm like, okay, so who are all these players? Like, what's going on? So I'm liking it. I'm really enjoying the main antagonist, the Dragon of Kansai. And the one thing I will say was really, really nice, even though I knew who he was, like because you told me, just a little tidbit that Majima says when you first talk to him about the Dragon of Kansa. He goes, "Yeah, man, that guy's crazy. Like he'll even steal your pants." It's like, "Oh my God, that is great. That's so
Yeah.
good." Because even when I did that sub story in Zero, it was like, "Oh, beware, this guy's gonna be a dragon one day." I was like, I feel like he's important. I feel like that's gonna come back later. And when I was looking at the logo for Kiwami 2, I'm like, that looks like him, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that tripped me out when I was doing the cabaret stuff in Zero. Accidentally stumbled upon the side quest, and then I looked at him like, dude, no way, is that really Ryuji? That's crazy. On my end for the story, I did progress. I probably 1 or 2 chapters in there, and it still has a lot of elements I like, a lot of stuff I expected, because again, this is a PS2 game and it's a sequel. And last time I talked about it, I mentioned that it does feel like it's an action movie from that era,
Hmm.
right? I think the way the intro is when you start this game, it feels so much like a sequel movie that I'm expecting a lot of elements from that kind of genre. And sure enough, there was this big moment with Kiryu and the new waifu Sayako, and just the dialogue and like the way the scenes were playing out. I'm like, oh, I totally understand what's going on, like because this is exactly the era it was in.
Hmm.
So I'm really liking that stuff. And like I said earlier before we started, this is my favorite version of Kiryu so far,
I agree.
mainly because we're finally getting stuff that we should have gotten with him when he was a Yakuza member.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like the amount of respect and the way he acts around other Yakuza members, especially towards the Omi Alliance, I felt like, yeah, we should have been having this the whole time. This is what I've been wanting to see with him.
Hmm.
So that's been really fun, especially because in Zero and Kiwami, he kind of is more or less the same person. He's just a little more pissed off in Kiwami because he was in jail for like 10 years.
Yeah, I feel like it's like you said, we should have got this a while ago, maybe even in Kiwami when he got out of jail, right? Which is kind of hinted on as they talk about how much they prefer Kiryu to Nishiki. But it's like I would have liked to have seen him be this character more, right? And I feel like in Kiwami 2, he's definitely holding that right, but he definitely should have had this before. But I'm really enjoying it. Even some of the sub-story dialogue that he has, it's like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted for you as a character.
Yeah, one thing I love about the team is they know how to keep it real in some of these sub stories.
Oh, oh yeah, buddy.
Where Kiryu's just like,
Oh
wow,
yeah.
wow, people are actually doing this. I'm glad they don't do that anymore. And I'm like, oh, Kiryu, if only you knew, man. Yeah, that's cool. So I'll be streaming those here and there as well. And also I'm saving them up towards the end of the game is when I'm gonna tackle it. But eventually you'll start unlocking chapters for a Majima side story for the game where you have to access it through the menu when you load the game up, and then you get to play as Majima in his own story during this time.
Oh hell yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah, I couldn't wait, and I saw a thumbnail when I was playing Zero that I didn't want to see, but then I saw it, I was like, oh god damn it, I have to know what happens. And then I saw it, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm looking forward to that when I'm gonna be playing, so I can't wait to do that.
I haven't seen anything yet, so I'm hoping I get to go into it super vanilla and I don't get spoiled by anything.
Yeah, and I think it's not that long either. It should only be, I think, like 6 or so chapters. Oh, 3 chapters. Okay. Oh man. Okay, so I only need one more. Yeah, so I'm gonna be looking forward to that, and yeah, I'll be streaming those like once a week while I'm going through other games. Like I said, Ratchet and Clank coming up, but right now I am going through the 2013 Tomb Raider game that Square Enix put out with Crystal Dynamics. Launched on PS3, eventually got the definitive edition on PS4. And so I'm playing it on PS5. And, I was thinking, like, what's a PS3 game going to look like on the PS5? And I got to say, it holds up. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, from what I've seen on stream, it looks pretty. It held up really, really well, which I was really surprised for.
Yeah, like, I could see what they were doing with some of the stuff. I was talking about on stream how, like, the hair, they just, like, very few people can know how to handle hair right. And this is kind of one of those situations to where it could look really good, but then sometimes the way they have it set for like the reflection stuff, it could look pretty bad.
Hmm.
But aside from that, like, yeah, again, everything else is pretty solid. I will say though, I was having some issues in the first like section I was playing. I was like, what's going on? Like, it kept pausing a lot. I'm like, what is this, like some kind of bug with the controller, or is it because I'm playing this on PS5? Like, sure, like you can play it, quote unquote, but is it gonna run well, kind of thing?
Hmm.
I saw like then the camera started shaking a lot during this cutscene. I'm like, what's going on? Put the controller down. Everything seemed fine. And then when we were going through more of the tutorial stuff, it said, oh, hey, this game has a feature to use your microphone, to where if you just say start or pause, it'll pause the game. If you say like show map, it'll pull the map up. And I'm like, oh, is that what is going on? Because, I forget sometimes the DualSense has the built-in mic.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And when I usually play on my PS4 and I have the mic plugged in, it's because I'm in a party chat, so it's not going to be using the mic for that.
Hmm.
So this is the first time I encountered it. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Like, no, and I was trying to think, I'm like, did I really say start or pause a lot in the beginning? I'm like, I probably did, but like, yeah, that tripped me off. So I turned that off right away. And then, yeah, motion controllers, the motion sense stuff is active. So I turned that off too. And then, everything's fine after that.
Hell yeah.
Except, of course, that one bug that I encountered on stream where like the floor was missing.
Oh, that was hilarious. That was so good.
And, I forgot how strong the beginning part of it is, and how they were trying to take the approach of, it's not really horror because nothing happens, like, unless you die, you get those horrifying death scenes, but just like those elements that happen in there, like a lot of jump scares, it gets really tense. The settings, it's very dark and rainy, windy, like you're lost, you don't know what's going on. And all that holds up really well. It's like some of the strongest points, I think, for the game. And then it does a good transition into, okay, now let's go into the action adventure aspect of this franchise, and then start pushing more into that.
Yeah, I really need to get back into the whole series because I only played the first one, and I know that the other two finally had come out for PlayStation. So, and I really enjoyed it. I think, and I said this before, it feels like you're watching a movie the entire time.
Yeah, and it's definitely taking like a narrative heavy aspect for it. The The quote unquote the Sony touch, as some people like to say, where there's dialogue when you're walking around. There's a lot of cutscenes with our characters here, and personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. For me, I like a strong story in anything, any form of media. So more of that, the better. And I always say, as long as the gameplay is good, I don't see a problem.
Hmm. Exactly.
And yeah, the combat still holds up pretty well. My only problem is like the evade that you have. You do have to double tap to do your dodge roll, and it is a little slow because you have to scurry on the ground before you do the roll. And then that there's no sprint either in this game, which sucks because I believe, if I'm remembering right, there was the multiplayer for this game, and I think you could sprint in there. So that was always weird to me that you can't do it in the game. I'm like a third in or something. Like, we're starting to get to the nitty gritty stuff of what's really going on this island and with the sun god Himiko. And yeah, so I'll be going through that. And then once I beat it, depending when I beat it, I might start Rise, or I'll just go straight into the Ratchet and Clank series. We got an announcement for World's End with You, right? The sequel game's coming out. And it's getting an anime.
Yeah. So the anime was announced, I don't know if you remember, last year AX. Well, like they had that teaser for it, and then I think it was a month
Mm.
later they had announced it, that we were getting the anime and that it was coming out pretty soon.
Yes, and we got the date for that this past week, and that's going to be April 9th. And right now it says only in Japan, so I don't know if like Funimation or Crunchyroll is going to pick this up for streaming. We're just going to have to wait and hear from that.
I think it'll do really well. I'm sure it'll be one for one with the original game.
And then today, as of this recording, we got the trailer for another trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League, aka the Snyder Cut. Looks fantastic, man.
Oh man.
It's definitely has the Snyder vibes in there. And then, we got to see Darkseid. That was pretty cool. But, I think the best part for this is that's not what the internet's talking about right now. They're talking about how our boy Jared Leto's in the trailer because, he did the reshoots as Joker. And he actually said the line that the internet has always brought up since The Dark Knight. We live in a society, and I was like, heck yeah, dude. That's what I'm
Dude,
talking
he did it
about.
for the meme.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Highlight of the week right there for sure.
Dude, you know what? Just by the way he speaks, I think we said this offline, or you had said it. You're like, if Leto does what he did in Little Things as Joker, it would be perfect. I don't know. I got that feeling from him.
Yeah, because like I was thinking about it. Yeah, I did like his portrayal in the Little Things, and it's like that feels like kind of like how the Joker would be. And I understand what Leto was kind of going for in Suicide Squad, where it's like he's a crime gangster, like leader of the night or whatever. So he's kind of playing into that motif a bit. And plus, you got to play with what you work with.
Exactly.
From the writing staff and the directors and all that. I get it. But yeah, seeing it in here, it still kind of feels like what he was doing in Suicide Squad. I still remember, like, I think one of the first times we saw him was when he was electrocuting, Harley Quinn in the flashbacks. And like what, like that moment was like, it's gonna hurt really, really bad, or whatever the line was. I was like, oh, that's great. That's how I understand how the Joker is. So to see him, just the bits that he does in the trailer, and for context, like that's in the nightmare sequence that Bruce Wayne has. So it's like it's all a dream of what could happen. So they can get away with him looking different, no tattoos,
Hmm.
So I think that he's gonna have fun with it because it is post-apocalyptic situation, so he can play the character differently, and I think that'll be good. Excuse me. Yeah, but I'm hyped, man. That's real soon. I think it's the 18th of next month on HBO Max.
Can't wait.
And then also today, there was the Demon Slayer Festival that was going on. It's an event where they're talking about all the news for Demon Slayer, right? Kimetsu no Yaiba, which, is a series that got explosive popularity and almost beat One Piece in 2019 as far as sales go, and then ended up beating One Piece in 2020. And from my understanding, listening to Super Eye Patch Wolf's video where he was talking about Jump over the past year, uh, it did numbers you never see as far as the manga sales, which is crazy because it made an absurd number to I forgot which series he combined. Like it was One Piece and two other series. If you combine those two together, it still
Jesus
doesn't touch
Christ.
what they made in a year. Yeah, it's crazy. And you guys know my thoughts on the series. I think it's a very above average shonen. I don't think there's anything too special about it. But of course, with episode 19 that came out for the anime, that's what caused the explosion of popularity because that episode looked really fantastic with the coloring, the camera angles, the animation was superb, you know. So there's one thing that I think I was like, I should check out the anime because it probably looks really good. And also, we had the movie that came out not too long ago, and that was number one box office in Japan for a long time. So, there's a lot of traction here. So they got their own festival. They talked about season two. I think they showed off a teaser trailer for it. We finally got some gameplay for the game that's coming out that they announced, I think, early last year. And it's from Bandai, of course. And, I mentioned earlier, we talked about it earlier about, anime games and how they all play the same. And it's the same here. It's a 3D arena game where you just do your basic combos. You can hold one of the trigger buttons to get some more special moves, and then you have your super, and that's really all that's going on. This is a 2v2 fighter though, so it has that going on for it. Then you could switch in between rounds or whatever. But I have to say it looks impressive. It's almost scary how much this looks like the anime. Like I thought the Ninja Storm games looked pretty good because it looks like the anime for the most part for Naruto, but you can still tell that they're 3D models and like they just have like the certain shine and the way the edges go. It's like, oh yeah, that's a 3D model, obviously. But I still said kudos to the Ninja Storm games. But here from the stuff I saw, it literally just looked like we were watching the anime. It was crazy. But again, to me, I just think it sucks that we have to go the generic route for the gameplay.
Especially when it looks so good. Oh wow, that does look really good.
Yeah, so right now the roster is only 5 characters. It's the main cast. Yeah, but again, it's really crazy how well the 3D models look 2D. Like, yeah, it's great to see. We've come a long way with anime games, but at the same time, we're at a stalemate with combat. Yeah, and look, I mean, I get it. Like, it's understandable that certain games, like, they want them to be 3D, just based on, I guess, just like how it's handled in the manga and the anime. But there's nothing wrong with a 2D fighter.
Right, exactly. I mean, look at Arxis, they do it all the time and it works phenomenally well. Like, you got Blaze Blue, you got Guilty Gear, you got Cross Tag, fighters. It's a formula that works when done well, especially by the right studios. I was hoping that with fighters coming out and like it doing what it does and now it's on its third season, like some other, people be like, "Oh, we could do an anime fighters like this. We definitely could."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then of course, unfortunately, like it is CyberConnect that's making this game, and those are the Ninja Storm people, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what's really sparked this almost copy paste situation with anime games.
Right.
Because like I said before, like the formula works. Why are they going to try to change it?
Exactly.
There's some good stuff in Demon Slayer, but I'm not that big of a fan, so I'll just be looking forward to more reveals and seeing what kind of characters are going to come in and just look at how nice it is at the end of the day. And aside from that, I think that's going to do it for us today. Of course, Marvel Talk will be out this week talking about WandaVision. And yeah, that last episode that came out was something.
Dude,
Um,
oh my God, man. I'm gonna need to rewatch it because that show is wild.
Yeah, it sure is.
Like I was a little shaky for a little bit, and then once it started going a certain direction, I was like, "Oh, okay. This is what we're doing now. This is fine. Let's see how you can handle it." And man, it's doing some stuff.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, so we'll be going over episodes 3 through 6 and then getting hyped for the final 3 episodes that'll be coming out. And then, as usual, manga reviews will be out. However, I read ahead a lot. Like, I don't read week by week of what comes out. I do have a backlog of stuff that I've read that I post weekly. Coming up in March, there was a manhwa I read called Terror Man, and when I was looking for the info on it, because there was like no solid Wikipedia for it or just any like source at all, I found out that this is actually part of a much larger universe for these webtoon series over there in Korea, and it's called like the Superstring universe. And they talked recently about how they want to tackle other forms of media, so like movies, TV dramas, video games, to tell this connected story. And so I was like, you know what? I like this series so much, and if we're going to be getting something bigger like this, I should probably buckle down and go through this connected universe and see what it has to offer. Yeah, pretty much all of March and I think April too. For the next while, it's going to be nothing but manhwas. So manga is going to be taking a break starting next month. And
You have to give me that list, man.
yeah, it's a crazy timeline. It's this company called Y Lab, and they own a bunch of IPs and a bunch of manhwas and webtoons, but they're not all essentially connected to the universe. They have a select few. Looking at the list, it is 3, 6, 9, 12, 14. Yeah, 14 series. It is a lot. One of them I don't think is even out yet, so there's only 13 available. But the worst part about this is it is on Webtoons, which is a free app you can read manhwas and all that. However, it is not on the English version of the app. It's not officially translated, which sucks. So I have to go find, the fan translations. And I pretty much found all the series except for maybe like 2 or 3. Which sucks. And then, of course, what also sucks is because of fan translations, some of these don't have all the chapters available, so that also sucks. But yeah, I'm going to be going through that whole series, man, just because I think that's how good Terror Man was. And for context, I started reading one that was at the end of the timeline. I'm like, well, I mean, it's a short series. Let me just go through it. And then at the end of the first chapter, I was like, oh, actually, because this is at the end of the series and it does involve like what the plot is of this shared universe, I should probably backtrack and just go through this in order. So that's what I'm planning to do. Because there's a lot, there's going to be multiple coming out per week probably. Whenever we don't have a Webtoon episode, I'll probably throw in an extra one of these in there just so we could get through this, because again, there is a lot. And then, of course, usual episodes, they'll come out when they come out. BFM this month as well. That'll be out real soon. And if you want to stay updated when these episodes drop, you can follow us on Unverse Podcast anywhere you go. And again, you can send the email unversepodcast@gmail.com. And then, again, yeah, Negator7 on Twitch for me, going through Tomb Raider and Yakuza until I go through Ratchet and Clank. And then Adam over here going through Kingdom Hearts like a madman over at Bam Adam on Twitch. And then Jerry furiously yelling at Dark Souls at the moment over at Jerry Omega. And also, the boy Aerospace dropped a new single on Valentine's Day. It's a great song. So we're going to end off the episode on this. So thanks, guys, for listening. And as always, we will catch you on the next episode.
Nothing great for letter saints if someone lasts the shade. Pass the praise, the masquerade, I later ash to pray, nigga. Cash or clay, don't hesitate, the pain or ass to fade. The asking face like answers change, that hope can crash the brakes like 100K, shorty paid, you're gonna pass the lane. To pass the fame, I'd rather aim to lay that path in case. The point was centered around the briefness of your last praise. The rent of ace, that's the casket crates of master pain. Collapse the basis, agitate the liquid I should drink. Never thought I sought to think that things could mimic images. Mirror, mirror on the marble, I won't topple unless you yell at timber. Crawling flawless in my target, I've been tossing villages. Bit too caustic, leverage office so the war's not costing. Arms and legs off Edward edge, transmutate, replace the dead. I try with bread that stacks ahead and features pensive pledge. 40 acres in the pool, the mule can run the